Hi, I'm Danny Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I'm joined today by Sharon Ranals, who is the new Assistant City Manager to the City of South San Francisco. Sharon, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
I feel like we are breaking news on this story because you're 2 weeks into the Assistant City Manager position. We've interviewed you as the Park and Recs Director for the City of South San Francisco.
Right.
So tell us about this new transition.
Well, actually, I was just thinking about it, about 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And we had the former Assistant City Manager retire. She's moved into the private sector. And so I'm transitioning into this position as Assistant City Manager.
So can you give us any tips about 3 weeks into the job? What's been different? What's the learning curve?
Well, there's a lot of new issues. So I was in Parks and Recreation for many years. I'm still really in Parks and Recreation. It's been my passion for many years. And there's just a lot of new issues that I need to get up to speed on. All the challenges that all the many cities in the peninsula are facing, transportation, housing,
revenue.
Absolutely. I've been focused more on open space and quality of life issues. So it's actually kind of a nice blend because we're dealing a lot with new residents who are moving into South San Francisco, as well as our traditional residents who've been there for years. And so it's a quality of life issue in my mind for both those groups, and trying to address both.
Well, and we don't want to panic anyone in South San Francisco to say, oh my gosh, we're losing Sharon and as the director of our Parks and Rec, because you've got a great plan, a great deputy to transition. And so we don't have to have anybody worry that there is not going to be the greatest of leadership still leading your department.
Well, thank you for saying that, but I really have to say that's the staff. The only thing that's making this possible for me to take this opportunity is that we have really good staff in Parks and Recreation and very low turnover. So I've had a really great team. They've been together a very long time. They know what they're doing, and they're being very supportive. But I am still sort of the executive Park and Recreation Director, but I just have a newly appointed acting deputy, Greg Midiotti, who's been with the department 8 years. He's fabulous. So we'll do a recruitment, but for now it's great.
We do want to talk a little bit about the role of Assistant City Manager, and there's something new and a nuance that South San Francisco has, and that is this Chief Sustainability Officer. Give us a little insight to what a Chief Sustainability Officer is within the Assistant City Manager department.
Right. Well, I think this reflects one of the city manager's priorities, and certainly the city council, which we do have a climate action plan, like most cities do, but stopping to focus on that when everybody's so busy running in a million different directions has been difficult. So I think the title just reflects the city manager's desire that I keep that in the forefront of my attention in terms of every project that we do. Are we approaching it in a sustainable manner? Let's say we're replacing vehicles. Are we thinking about electric vehicles? Are we thinking about solar and just all the things that will help reduce our carbon footprint? In Parks and Recreation, of course, we think a lot about trees and open space and green infrastructure and stormwater runoff. But so this is just kind of a broader perspective on keeping those environmental concerns in the forefront.
In all of the departments, whether it's fire, public safety, whether it's public works, always thinking about those sustainability factors.
Exactly.
So we want to kind of now jump right into, as a role of Assistant City Manager, you are looking at housing, transportation, public safety, revenue generation. What are some of the big topics that you're going to be diving into now in this new role?
Well, one of the biggest topics for me personally is the new civic campus that we're building. So when the Assistant City Manager, was Marion Lee, she previously was managing that project. And so we've kind of bifurcated that. And at the same time I took on this position, we have also a capital projects director. So between the two of us, we're going to be working on the civic campus. And that's a new police station and a new library and park and rec building. We've been working on it for a couple of years, and we're kind of right in the middle of it. So I need to keep the momentum going. I'm really committed to getting this building built as before I leave. I probably another couple of years. It's scheduled to open at the end of 2022. So that's one thing.
Some of our viewers who may not be familiar with the campus, are you taking these public buildings and putting them all on a single campus because they've been in different parts of your community, or have they all been on the same campus already and you're just going to be doing new buildings and new infrastructure?
Well, Park and Recreation and the Police Department were in the Municipal Services Building. And unfortunately, that building, I think what started this whole movement was it's really not as seismically up to code as it needs to be. So those two have been together and they will move across the street. But the police are getting their own building. It's going to be a wonderful headquarters, state-of-the-art. Dispatch will be there. Not all cities have their own police dispatch, but South San Francisco does. So the Police Department will be standalone, but just across the street from the Park and Recreation building, which will be co-located with our library.
Right.
So that's really exciting because we're trying to share the facility and make a better, more efficient use of those spaces.
Now, I know one of the things, just because I know you, and community input is one of the things that you're very interested in, especially even when you were with the Parks and Rec Department, and just always wanting to know what the community is thinking about their open space and what their recreation needs are and what their sort of quality of life needs are. So how are you going to encourage this now with residents to kind of come to you with these broader perspectives and receive their input?
Well, we have had a lot of public input on this building just to get to this point.
Right.
And so that's kind of behind us, really. But now we need to check back in with the community to let them know that all those things that they were interested in either made it into the project or didn't.
Right.
Obviously, you know, we wish we could, people wanted a swimming pool and they wanted a gymnasium, and we just couldn't put everything in the building, so that'll be important. But as far as the broader issues, the city, another exciting initiative is to upgrade our general plan. So we have an 18-year-old general plan. It's about to expire, so we're embarking on a new one. I think there's 10 neighborhood meetings set up in the next month or so, in all the neighborhoods, where we're asking neighbors to kind of vision all those things that would take us another 20 years into the future.
Right. And having been on a city council in Redwood City that went through a general plan, I was lucky enough to be part of that process. It is a lengthy and very challenging process because, again, you talk about the differences of opinions or perhaps what people wanted to see in a civic campus. Now you're talking about future planning for your entire community, and it's one of those really necessary process, and actually it's really healing for communities, I think, to all come together and talk about what their vision is.
Absolutely, and I think it's kind of a transformational time in South San Francisco because, like all our cities, we're dealing with transportation. We're fortunate to have low unemployment, but with that, as we increase jobs, we need housing. So I would say transportation, traffic, housing, and employment, all those issues are really to the fore right now.
Yeah. Well, we just have about a minute left, so I want to make sure that we give you time to say, tell us about South San Francisco. What are the things that are so exciting to you that you're either going to be a part of or that you've been a part of that you just want everyone to know about? Well, can you pick just one?
I can't really just pick one. I've been working in South San Francisco for 40 years, which is unbelievable. And just seeing the change, I just think it's an amazing, wonderful community. I think for me, the community spirit and the volunteerism, in spite of all these other big issues, it's still a kind of a can-do community where people just pitch in and get things done.
Right. Well, I think I would tend to agree with you. The rest of the community, I can say, has their eyes on South San Francisco. So many times we point to that's sort of the state of the art. That's how you make decisions. That you're always such a leader for the rest of us in San Mateo County.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you for saying that.
Well, good luck in your new role. Please come back to Penn Voice because we'd like to see how well you're holding up in 6 months and all of the new things that you're jumping into as Assistant City Manager for the City of South San Francisco.
Thanks, Danny. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Sharon, for joining us again. And we'll see all of you, and maybe in South San Francisco, but next time on Penn Voice.